Reading sucks, and there's a lot of reasons one might not like reading, like not enough time, stress, distracted, lack of interest, no motivation, or maybe it's just a massive ADHD. But I'm 100% like this. I'm sure school doesn't help by making people read books in a week just to write an essay about it, which makes them not enjoy actually reading the book. But anyway, the statistics in Australia show it. The population averaged 72% reading books for pleasure in 2019, but down to 69% in 2022. That means 8,053,800 people do not like to read. There's a smarter way of getting the information that everyone gatekeeps. Maybe this video is about to tell you all the methods, who knows? But I spent a long time finding ways to overcome this, being more efficient while still getting the same information and knowledge in 100 times shorter time frame. I have 5 tips, ways, tricks, and methods for you today. But stick around to the end because the best tip that I recommend for everyone to use saves so much time while getting so much information is at the end. And I'm not sponsored by them. We'll cover knowledge transport, helpful people, more helpful people, a very good invention, and my personal favorite, which is very efficient. Number 1, audiobooks. I was also skeptical about audiobooks. Sounded boring. But you just have to choose the right niche you were interested in. It could be true crime, finance, or whatever, and read whatever people rave about. A lot of apps have audiobooks prepared for you to listen to, but be careful, as some require you to pay, like Audible, and it's very expensive, about $15 for an audiobook. It is cheaper than paying for a real physical book. These can be listened to when you're in the car, cleaning, on a bus, train, plane, going somewhere, or doing whatever. It's a huge time saver and helped me because I'm also not a fan of reading. Audiobooks are so much easier to understand the concept compared to books, because usually it's the author's voice over the books, depending on the app and the author. So it's more emotional and helps with focus. Don't worry if you don't want to pay. There are more things on the list where you don't need to pay. 2, podcasts. Yes, these can be hours long, but an hour 30 podcast is so much better than spending weeks on a book you have no motivation or business reading. Although podcasts are usually free on YouTube or Spotify and a few other apps, they may not talk about summaries of the whole book, but they might just focus on one part. It could also be hard finding a podcast about your book. Definitely a great alternative and free. You can find these podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, and other apps. A few good podcasters that produce content about books are Borrowed, Debutful, the LRB podcast, Overdue, and If Books Could Kill, and much more. 3. Just ask ChatGPT. AI is getting better and better. A few years ago, we didn't have access to chat, and now you can just ask it for a whole summary of the entire book you want to read. Although this method may not cover the full book in detail, it's super quick, accurate, and you can intake so many books per week by doing this daily. Spending 10 minutes interpreting the knowledge AI produces on the book you want to learn about can go a huge way. 4. YouTube summaries. This is very similar to podcasts, and may even be the same podcast from Spotify re-uploaded on YouTube. There's even a whole tab for creators specifically for podcasts. This is 100% free and cover a lot of good details, summaries, and recaps of the books. Ali Abdal, who mostly does in-depth summaries and reviews of popular self-help and productivity books. Productivity Game, who produce animated summaries of self-help and personal development books in bite-sized engaging videos. And Fight Mediocrity uses whiteboard animations to summarize well-known self-development business books. Obviously, there are hundreds more, but those are just some really good ones, especially for business productivity and discipline. And last but not least, in fact, it's definitely the best in my opinion. Number 5, an app which summarizes the book in 15 minutes or less, explaining the key concepts. Although it is paid, I personally use it and I think it's amazing. There's a lot of these apps, and some of them are Headway and 12 minutes. If you're wondering what the prices are, Headway is from $12.99 USD per month, $29.99 USD for 3 months, and $90 USD per year. It does depend on a few factors though, so make sure you check. No, I'm not sponsored, but I just recommend this app. I also recommend 12 Min, which I personally use. Literally less than 12 minutes per day, you can fully learn in detail whatever book you want. There's also a free trial, but I prefer this than reading 100%. So those are the way you can get information without actually reading. In summary, 1. Listen to audiobooks on Audible. Tip 2. Listen to podcasts about books on Spotify or YouTube or other apps. Tip 3. YouTube summaries. Tip 4. Literally just ask ChatGPT. Tip 5. Headway and 12 Min is great apps. Subscribe so I can finally read a book.